All right, let's move on to our facts are facts. And kicking our fossil fuel habit is no easy feat, especially when you think about how many of our homes and buildings are still powered by gas, oil, and coal. I mean, there's not much that's powered by wind and solar.
Not yet, at least. And according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, just over 60% of our energy comes from fossil fuels. All of the fossil fuels, natural gas, it's the most popular renewable energy sources, only make up 20% of all energy generated in the U.S.
Now, we might not be able to just stop established homes and buildings from using fossil fuels because that's how they're set up. You'd have to retrofit everything, but we can prevent new buildings from adding to the problem. And that's the plan for Boston Mayor Michelle Wu, who joins us now. I'm so excited to have you on the show here. Let's start off where does the plan stand right now?
There are a lot of pieces moving. We're trying to use every possible tool in the toolbox. The Massachusetts State Legislature not too long ago created a program where up to 10 municipalities can put forward their ideas for how to ensure that we can regulate fossil fuels and move towards a completely sustainable electric, green energy system. In our city, more than 70% of the carbon footprint comes from buildings. Most of the rest comes from the transportation sector. So we're pushing on both fronts with zero net carbon zoning and development requirements, with our energy emissions reductions ordinance on the largest buildings in Boston that are being phased down over the next few years, and doing everything we can to provide the resources so that this works as a just transition for all of our workers as well.
So this is part of the state's new climate law that is allowing 10 cities to ban fossil fuel projects. What is it about Boston? Why do you want Boston to be included?
We are the largest city in the Commonwealth, and the spirit and the intent of this legislation is to ensure that we can make an impact right away. We can do things in a way that works with all the local parts of our economy to show that building green is in fact a win-win for everyone. It saves costs in the long run. It is a healthier environment for those who will live in and inhabit the buildings. We're already starting to do everything we can for city buildings, whether it's new schools and libraries and community centers. Having the ability to do this at a large scale would immediately ensure that we're maximizing the value and impact of this legislation.
Mayor, what are the most reasonable energy options for this new construction? Are we talking wind, solar, and where would we get that energy?
Yeah, the goal writ large is to electrify everything and then as quickly as we can clean the sources of that electricity. So it's kind of moving in parallel. We know that our grid is going to need a lot more capacity, and that will not happen overnight. But as we're developing the regulations and the proposals for our largest buildings and those who are contributing the most to emissions, we can be pumping up and making sure that we're investing in the electricity infrastructure so that new wind turbines that are being constructed in the New England region are feeding right in, or the work that we're doing even at a local neighborhood scale to push for more solar panels to plug into the grid, that will all feed in at the same time.
So what about old buildings, or, this is for new builds, but say old buildings that have been hooked up to fossil fuels for years or decades? Is there a way to go back and
centuries,
retrofit this?
I feel like.
Yes, in Boston, is there a way to go back and, kind of retrofit these to the new cleaner energy?
Yeah, we are a very historic city. We're coming up on our 400th anniversary in the next 8 years, and many of our buildings reflect that sense of history and the need for retrofits to happen. In fact, how Boston is using much of our federal recovery dollars from the American Rescue Plan and other sources is to ensure that we can have the benefits of these resources going to our local residents as well. Many of these buildings are residential properties that are smaller, that just simply don't have the resources to be able to do a whole gut renovation inside out. And so we're working, whether it's the rooftop solar or rethinking heating and energy systems, to go one by one with our property owners and make available a fund, again, that we're already moving and showing what works with our city buildings like schools and libraries to be able to do that on the residential side as well.
Mayor, you've really been leading the way. It's really impressive, what you've done. And as we look now forward, what are some of the initiatives, or what are you hoping for as we look forward in the next, let's say, 10 to even 20 years for Boston when it comes to doing these types of things?
Yeah, we're a coastal city, and that means the impacts of climate change are already here. Every time a storm is projected to appear, we kind of all just are hunkering down, waiting for the exact projections of wind and the whether it lines up with sea levels and high tide, because we are this close to having serious damage every single time that comes to pass. And so we know the urgency. We're here to make sure that our transition not only is avoiding that harm, but embracing the thousands of great jobs that it will create, and that the benefits go directly to our residents. And so from healthier buildings to more enjoyable green spaces all across our city, we are really fighting to move quickly and ensure that this can be a city that's home to all.
All right, Mayor Wu, love that.
I know. And I do get energized just listening to you. I'm like fired up for Boston. I don't even live there. I'm like, go Boston. We got this. Mayor Michelle Wu, thank you so much for coming on today, and also just being a leader in that space as well.
And it allows other cities maybe to replicate this when they see, how they do it and, their plan for success. So love it. It's got to start somewhere.
You do.